All right, folks. So you need to make a scatter plot of your data for the concrete. So I'm going to show you step by step what to do. Remember to pause this whenever you need to and use this as a guide. All right. So let's get started here. And you have your data here. Okay, this is all of your data. And let's see. Let's go. Very first thing is to go to Insert. Okay, go to Insert, and in there you will see something for Chart. So you click on Chart. Okay. Now what might happen is, there we go, it might automatically come up with something. Okay, that's not it. All right, we got to do some fixing here because we got to make sure it's using the right data, and we've got to format it. So we've got to get the right data, and we've got to make it look good. So let's do those two things. Let's start off with the data. Okay, so you've got this. So what we got to do first is look at the setup over here on the right-hand side. Right, we've got chart type. It should probably be in scatterplot already, but you can click on scatter chart by itself. It's also down here. Okay. And data range, I would suggest clicking the little waffle here. Okay, see that? And select data range. And I would go ahead and highlight. Oops. There we go. You click in there and then go ahead and highlight all of the data. Okay. And hit OK. All right. There we go. So you've got the data range correct. You've got all your data in there. Now here comes the x-axis and y-axis. So the x-axis is simple. Series is what we use for the y-axis. Now the x-axis, for this, we have to use the days after pour. So all you got to do is click on this Add X-axis and click on Days After Pour, right? Because that's when we actually test it. So you want x-axis, days after pour. Next thing, the series. You want the series to be, click on that. You don't want any of those. You don't want the days after pour. You don't want the force. You don't want surface area. You want pressure in PSI, right? So you click that, and there we go. You've got a graph. Now yours may or may not look like this in many ways, but that's what we got. So that we at least have the right data on the screen there. Okay, you want to make sure that it's the pressure and the days after pour, and you should have something that generally goes up and to the right throughout the whole thing. So, all right, let's go a little bit deeper here. All right, go back or go over to Customize over here in the chart editor. Customize. And let's just go through these to make sure we have everything correct, all right? Chart style, that's really just color and stuff. So you can change it if you want. Just make sure it's not too annoying to look at, okay? You can change the background color if you want and all sorts of things, but, you know, that's up to you. Just make sure it's not too taxing on the eyes. So you can close that. Chart and axis titles. This is key, right? Because in graphs, we need to make sure that we have it correctly labeled. Now, the title, what are we actually trying to find out here, right? Maybe we just go with that question. How long does it take mortar to cure? There we go. And you see it up on the title over here on the actual graph. You can change the font, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's the title text. And up here, we need to change the other titles. So you go back to where it says chart title, okay? And now you want to click horizontal axis. That's the x-axis. Remember, the x-axis was days after pour. Okay? And on the y-axis, the vertical axis, we're going to put braking pressure. Oops. And we always have to have our label in PSI. Okay. There we go. Now, days after pour has the label in the title already, so that's already good to go. But days after pour, breaking pressure, how long does it take mortar to cure? This is actually looking pretty good. Let's see what other options we can deal with here. In the series, this is key. So you can change the color of your series if you want. That's fine, whatever you want to do. However, one thing that you must do here is down here it'll say trend line. You must pick trend line. Check trend line. Because what that does is it gives you a line of best fit. This has its limits, it's just a line, but for our purposes, it's really, really important because you can't answer any of the questions on the assessments you're going to get about this without having that. It just can't happen, all right? So, also, in the trend line down here, it says label, okay? Label. You don't want no label. You don't want no label. You don't want it to have no label, whatever. Move and change it to use equation, okay? And what you'll see is up here, you'll see that there's an equation, right? It's missing the y equals, but y equals 538x minus or plus a negative 1586. All right. That's good. That's good. All right. We've got, let's see here. What other stuff do we have going on here? The legend. Let's see. Whoops. As far as the legend goes, leave that there. Horizontal axis. One thing in the horizontal axis, you want the minimum value, right here, see the minimum value to be 0. Okay. All right. That way it actually starts at 0 down there. Okay. Whoa. Where'd you go? Technical difficulties. Here we go. All right. Customize. We're looking at the horizontal axis. Okay. Let's see what that does. It doesn't do anything, so we'll skip that. Yeah, that's it for horizontal axis. Let's see. Oops. And then we'll go to vertical axis. Again, just make your minimum 0, just to make sure that the graph starts at 0. It already is, but you never know what would happen. Okay, we'll minimize vertical axis. Grid lines and ticks, I don't think any of that matters. And folks, you now have a full graph for this thing. Now let's double check. Do we have a title? Yes. Do we have the axes with numbers on them? Yes. Do we have the labels? Yes. The units? Yes. Do we have the equation? Yes. Do we have the dots? Do we have the line of best fit? We're done. That's what you got to do. Oh, wait. One last thing before you go. This is kind of a pain in the butt to look at with all the data in front, so watch this. Click on the graph. Go to the little 3 dots here. And you'll see it says move to own sheet right there. Move it to its own sheet and watch what happens. Boom. See down here at the bottom, you've got 2 sheets. You've got your My Groups data. That's what we were looking at before. And, remember that? And you've got chart, well, mine says chart 29. Yours probably says chart 1. But you've got your chart here, and you've got all that data, that perfect looking graph. All right, so that's the deal. The point is to use that graph, okay, and this equation. Remember, this would be just like saying y equals 538x minus 1,586. You use that equation to answer these questions, okay? That's the deal. I think that's about it. So if you didn't know how to do the spreadsheet or do the scatterplot, now you know. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or whatever. All right. Thanks.